You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time.
Some things are just meant to be as we really delve into draft content. We are recording on Bank Holiday Monday, and I say that because as you see from the episode title, we have a guest, and it's fitting that the guest is on today, given what happened in the UK in UK football, soccer to those in the United States. Before we delve into that, Mr. Charlie Touche, I believe there was a big fight in the UFC this weekend, and for those who don't know, let them know what happened and the significance of the bow and arrow celebration at the end. So yeah.
I mean, it's only significant if you follow, but Israel Adesanya fought Alex Pereira for the fourth time in their lives, second time in the UFC, and this is how we're going to tie it to Go Time Dolphins. The fight was in Miami, Florida, at the old AAA arena where the Miami Heat play, and it's funny because the who's who of the NFL was in the building. The Bosa brothers, Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Odell Beckham, and Joe Burrow and the Bosa brothers were sitting front row. But guess who was sitting right behind them in the second row?
Aaron Donald.
Your boy Chris Greer. No. So Chris Greer, he kind of gets caught on camera and he looks up at the camera and he's trying to like lean out the frame like
almost like he's there with like his side piece and his wife him as no, he's like,
yeah, bro,
oh,
like yeah, I'm not trying to, and I'm sitting behind, a whole bunch of NFL players, right? Like you could just see this got to be a conflict of interest. And then the very next shot they showed was Coach Mike McDrip. Coach McDaniel was there. He's just a dude, bro. He looked up at the camera like, oh, that's me. You feel me? So yeah, man, Israel Adesanya. Spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear the results, I guess we should give you that for the next 30 seconds. Israel Adesanya defeated Alex Pereira for the first time in 4 fights. Pereira beat him 3 times prior, and Alex Pereira is basically considered the hunter. And his celebration, like it's not even a celebration. He comes out doing the bow and arrow thing. So when Israel finally beat him, Israel's just hitting him with arrows with the celebration. Celebration was crazy. His child, Alex Pereira's child, was mocking Israel when he got knocked out. So now Israel mocked the child, like, bro, and everybody's calling him petty, like you're taunting a 8-year-old. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Everybody can get it, man.
Didn't he come out and say I'm petty? You're like, no, I am petty. Yeah. Like you take the mick out of me, I'm taking the mick out of you. You like hold that. So
no, I ain't gonna lie. We gotta guess, Kadeem. But I will say this though. And if you came back from the spoiler alert, we're still spoiling the alert. You know what I'm saying? So give me 30 more seconds on that. So, but for real, Israel got knocked out by this dude, and then the kid came in the ring and fell out on the floor like he got knocked out too, like taunting Israel. So now that he knocked out the kid's dad, like he pointed at the kid in the crowd and then fell out too. Like, hey, it's fair game to me. Like I probably wouldn't have done it, but it's fair game for sure.
No,
listen, what you got, Kadeem?
No, I was gonna say yeah, like it is fair game.
Hey, bringing it back to football, McDaniel was in the building, Greer was in the building, and Greer getting ready for the draft, and we got a guest coming up. And he's going to get us ready for the draft. But it's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I'm your boy, Charlie Touche. I got my co-host, Kadeem Simmons, with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. Your favorite podcast. and we got a guest today on the show. And his name is unique to me from someone from the west side of the world. You know what I'm saying? But Owain from 99 Yards, we appreciate you joining us here on Go Time Dolphins. How you doing, man?
Yeah, hey guys, it's absolutely brilliant to be here and listening to UFC chat there. I didn't have a clue what was going on, but I love the celebration. That sounds class.
So is it's pronounced Owain?
Yeah, so it's pronounced Owain, so it's
Owain,
Welsh.
Owain. Okay.
So it's wherever I go that isn't back home, I get all sorts. So if it tends to be, if it begins with an O, I'll respond to it.
Owain, my fault. See, I butchered it. Like, you know,
Kadeem usually you won't be the first, you won't be the last.
Kadeem usually does the butchering on the podcast, so I just joined the butcher party. Hey, we appreciate you taking time to join us, man. How did you get into NFL football? Because I know soccer football is a thing over there.
Right. So I mean, it goes a long way back, I guess, and more from the days where over here you used to get the highlights on Channel 4 that you'd stay up at a ridiculous point of the night and you'd watch them or have them recorded, watching them. My brother got into it first. He was a big Green Bay Packers fan. And kind of one of the first games that I watched with him was a Green Bay game, and the Super Bowl against the Pittsburgh was the first Super Bowl that I watched. With him being a big Green Bay Packers fan. And then from there, I just had to pick a team. I ended up with the Atlanta Falcons for my sins. Oh boy, what a bad decision that was. But you've got to stick with these things, haven't you? So, I mean, no one can call me a glory hunter, that's for sure. But yeah, just got into it that way. And then I was writing on forums, things like that, got involved with 99 Yards, and it's just grown from there.
Bro, for me to be born and raised in the States, to hear everyone's story of how they became a NFL fan, a American football fan from across the pond, I always appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys even more because you have to seek it out. You know what I'm saying? Right. For example, myself, I'm not a huge soccer fan. I am a casual when it comes to World Cup. I'm glued to the TV. I try to watch every single game there is, even if it's not the US, and I'm hooked. And then, you know, Kadeem here will shoot me some stuff, and now I'm kind of getting the itch for like some soccer. You know what I'm saying? And I find some stuff on Twitter, find some stuff on YouTube. I think Messi's the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? And here Kadeem goes shooting me some tagging me and stuff. Kadeem, you tagged me in something today.
So, like I said, Bank Holiday Monday, and for those who aren't really familiar with the United Kingdom football pyramid, or the English football pyramid, you've got the Premier League, which is like your Man United, Man City's, Arsenal's, Liverpool's. Below that, you've got the Championship, then you've got League One, then you've got League Two. Those are the four professional leagues. Then you've got like a whole bunch of non-leagues and all that kind of stuff. But today's non-league game saw Wrexham v Notts County. And to put it into context, most teams win a league with about 70 to 80 points. Before the game today, both teams had 100 points. Both teams across this season had scored 106 games.
I gotta break you off. I gotta cut you off. So a point, you probably get a point for a win. You probably get like 2 points a win, 1 point a tie or something like that.
3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and obviously no points for a loss. So I don't know what the record before this season was in terms of promotion from non-league to League Two, but the fact that both teams are on 100 points is unparalleled. So Wrexham are at home, Wrexham are in Wales, and you might have heard of Wrexham because they are owned by Ryan Reynolds, you know, famed US actor.
Oh, it is ringing bells now. It's ringing bells.
So Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, who is known for playing Mac in Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So yeah, they bought Wrexham. Was it last season?
Yeah, 2 seasons ago.
2 seasons ago.
2 seasons ago. Yeah.
They're trying to, you know, make their way up through the divisions. But anyway, Wrexham v Notts County. Essentially, the winner will get promoted. There's still a few games left. Notts County go 1-0 up, half time. Interesting game, but you know, Wrexham need to get back into it. So second half, Wrexham score 1-1. Wrexham then go 2-1 up. Notts County then 2-2. Then Wrexham 3-2. 96th minute.
And this is the
Not
clip you showed me, bro. Like
Notts County,
you
yeah.
sent it to me on Twitter.
So Notts County get a penalty in the 96th minute. And what's interesting as well is that the Wrexham goalkeeper used to play for England, played for Man United. He retired at the end of last season. Like, I'm done. But Wrexham had an injury to the goalkeeper. They called up Ben Foster. Can he come do us a favour? So you've got essentially a goalkeeper who spent his entire career playing at the highest level, now playing for Wrexham, and he saved it. And I'm not a Wrexham fan. I was working, but the sound that came out of my mouth, I guess the best way to describe it would be, imagine your reaction for the Miami Miracle. Your body parts are flying everywhere. You're screaming. Owain, how did you feel as a Wrexham fan?
Pure relief, I think, is the best way of putting it. That it's one of those moments where you're like, I'm not sure I can watch this, and you're looking through your fingers, just hoping. You're thinking this would be, anyone who follows football or soccer will know it's always my team. Why do they have to go and bottle it again? And then he goes and saves it, and you just think this kind of has to be written at this point. That just from, even with the new owners, Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney coming in, but just the club that Wrexham is, 16 years in non-league football, to be on the verge of making it back again after, being on the verge of bankruptcy. The whole town drew out their whole, life savings to save the club. It was fan owned for close to 14 years before the fans voted to sell it to Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. So the town deserves some luck, and yeah, I'm really, really happy. And so don't count your chickens just yet, right? Because if this is sport, anything could happen, but it's certainly looking promising.
Bro, we're gonna have to top it up more about soccer, football, in bonus time, bro. Because I ain't gonna lie, I'm warming up to it, and I'm looking for it on IG. I never thought I'd be one of those people that, have to go looking for stuff from across the world to be a fan of. But I got two people here on the podcast that do it for American football. So that being said, man, with the draft coming up, Owain,
yep,
unique name. Who are some prospects that you feel like we all should be looking at or looking for?
Right. Well, there's a whole lot of names, I can tell you that, and I guess just summing up the whole draft first of all, that this is a kind of a draft where there's not too many blue chip top tier talents that you would quite happily spend a top 10 pick on, but it's quite deep the further you go down. So I mean, in terms of blue chip talent, personally, I've got 3 blue chip grades on that. That's Will Anderson, the edge from Alabama, Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle from Georgia, and Bijan Robinson, the running back from Texas. They are, to me, the blue chip best prospects in this class. But outside of that, I'm not sure there's many elite labels that you would put on it. But what makes it really interesting is we finally got a draft class after what was last year that has got some really interesting quarterback discussion, which is making things very tasty, especially in mock drafts and big boards, and especially in the top 10. So this is going to be one of those drafts where anything could happen, and even the most experienced of a draft expert could be entirely wrong about how this could go, because really it's going to be a draft of flavors rather than just picking the best prospects available, because everyone's so closely tiered. I would say maybe from 15 through to maybe even around the 60 mark, that is going to be so wild, the grade difference on some players. So it's going to be about what your team needs. But if you're, I know the Dolphins aren't, but if you're a team drafting in the top 10, then you're going to be pretty happy that you're drafting that high, because it's at that point, the further down you go, especially into round 2 and round 3 where you guys are, there's not a lot of top end talent, but you're going to get starters, that's for sure.
So I thought very similar to how you thought, because we were supposed to pick around 21 and we forfeited our pick for the tampering scandal that we had. I appreciate you. The tampering scandal that we had with our owner, Stephen Ross. That being said, it is unique this year because you getting cleansed over there, Kadeem. You safety first.
Always.
As Kadeem daps himself up with the hand sanitizer. So, with that being said, I do feel like you're gonna have first round talent sneak into the second round. My question to you would be: who are some players that you think can fall into the second round that are of first round talent, maybe that the Dolphins could be in striking distance to reach?
So I think you have it right, but in reverse. So there's going to be a bunch of day two talent that has to go into the first round, because I think there's going to be a load of teams that aren't going to have too many first round grades. You might be, some teams might only have maybe 16 first round grades, and
Right.
31 players are going to have to go in the first round. So some people are going to have to be, there's going to have to be some reaches, and some people are going to have to go higher. But as I said, that there's going to be a bunch of players ranked from 20, even I would say through 60, is the way I see it. Could be placed anywhere. There could be a team that likes them late 20s, but there could be just a team that doesn't like them at all, and they end up falling. But there's a bunch of names that I would say are on the cusp of that, in terms of what you were saying there, Charlie, about day two players who could boost up in terms of players that are improving their draft stock. I guess that there's a player from Ade Adebowore from Northwestern, who was an edge, will be converting to an interior defensive lineman at the next level, who absolutely bossed the combine, was absolutely alien tester, who was kind of thought as a round 3 guy, but he's a player, because of the way that this draft class is, that I could see someone taking a flyer on in the 20s, just because players don't come around like this very often. So he's a guy that I would be very much looking out for in that kind of mold. And this is a very, very good edge class. There's probably 15, 16 guys that I'd be very happy allowing to contribute in their first year, and making a positive one at that. But yeah, it would be the edges. It would be probably across the defensive line, and it's a fairly decent corner class as well.
What you got first, Kadeem?
From what you just said, if you're a Miami fan,
yeah,
corners and defensive line to a lesser degree are probably positions you're not too worried about.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you can't have too many DBs, you can't have too many, guys on defensive line. You want to be rotating. And if you look at Miami's roster at the moment, they probably could add in another nose tackle. Again, corner, they brought in Jalen Ramsey, you got Xavier Howard, you got Kader Kohu coming up. But again, if you can find someone who you can essentially stash this year and look to replace, one of Jalen Ramsey or Xavier Howard down the line, that's ideal. What do you make of the offensive tackle and offensive guard, or the defensive line class in general? Listen to your podcast with Stu, and Stu's a massive fan of the tackle class in general.
Yeah.
The Dolphins need right tackle more than left tackle, but Teron Armstead isn't, can't stay fit for the entire season. If you were drafting an offensive lineman at 51, who do you think would be there, and who do you think, I guess, would help Miami more immediately?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think at that point, at 51, I think you're looking more to interior offensive line players rather than tackles. I would love their one to be there for you, but I'm just not sure that it's good and it's decent in kind of the first round talent, but I'm not entirely sure there's going to be one there ready to be picked at 51. The guys that could be there might be DeJuan Jones from Ohio State, but he's got some suitors. Anton Harrison from Oklahoma, Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse. But I'll be honest, I would expect all of them to be off the board by the time 51 comes around. So I would maybe be looking more into the interior. But again, the guard class isn't great. So I would be looking more at center, and then looking maybe to move Connor Williams out and get him to play guard instead. So guys, I think like Luke Weipler from Ohio State and Steve Avila from TCU, they're two guys Well, Weibler is exclusively a centre. Avila can play guard, but is better off as a centre. So they're just going to give you more options and maybe move Connor over to play right guard. Another player that you could look at if he's there is Cody Mock from North Dakota State. He's got kind of 3 position versatility. He has played, he was a walk-on tight end at North Dakota, has ended up playing left tackle, went to the Senior Bowl, has been taking reps at guard and at centre. So if you kind of wanted that versatility, then Cody Mock from North Dakota State might be a guy to go for. But other than that, I would probably looking to go for a guard if one's there, and if not, maybe go center and move the guys around.
Bro, I like how you think. Like I'm here. I follow everything you're saying. I rock with all of it, and I also agree that Harrison, Bergeron, and Jones might be gone before they get to 51. But I do think one of them could be in striking distance for the Dolphins to trade up for. So yeah, we might not sit still at 51, but if we were so enticed to move up 10, 12 spots to entertain trying to get a franchise right tackle, they might be inclined to do that, right? So
yeah, if you can get into the 30s, I think you'll get one in the late 30s if you wanted to move up. I guess the problem there is that there's only 4 picks this year to use.
Yeah, and I'm of the belief either you trade up, you trade everything to move up to get this one piece that you believe in, or you trade back. And like we're in a win now window. We have a Super Bowl window right now. Our team is put together, and either I don't believe a player is gonna, if we trade it back, we're not dependent on this player to get us to the Super Bowl. We're already built without him. So now if you wanted to go get a right tackle or maybe a tight end, which I'm not of the belief we should trade up for a tight end, because it's just so difficult to come into the NFL to play tight end and be effective off the bat. So right tackle, on the other hand, sure. If you want to trade the house to the apartment, the flat, you know what I'm saying? Because we're not trading the house, right? We're not trading 3 first-round picks. But if you want to trade what we have this year to trade up to get a tackle that you believe in, I'm all for it. With DeJuan Jones, he's unique to me because his size and weight is different than the typical tackle in the NFL. Do you think his size at 6'7", something crazy, 6'7", 270, 250, it's wild. Do you think that can translate to the NFL?
He's 6'8", 360.
Yeah. You think that could translate to the NFL?
Well, I guess the nearest comp would be Mekhi Becton, right, at the Jets, and I mean, had a good first season, but has really struggled to stay healthy at his weight. I mean, we've all seen the clips going around on Twitter that apparently he's in the best health of his life, but I guess we'll believe that when we see it. So, yeah, I do worry about him staying healthy at that weight, and just the type of player he is as well. I think he would slot in really nicely for you, actually, but yeah, I think he's going to go earlier than you think because he's extremely traitsy. You don't get players that big, but he may need to lose some weight because with the type of player he is, that his weight is distributed where, if he kind of loses his leverage, it's very difficult for him to counter it and make up, the lost half a yard, half second that he's lost by countering. So just the type of player he is, I think would suit you, but yeah, I'm really worried about the weight.
You and I both.
You mentioned, Jones being traitsy.
Yeah.
And another position and another player, is it Darnell Washington, the tight end?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's someone who, for months now, loads of Miami Dolphin fans on social media have been saying this has to be the pick at 51. If he's again in striking distance, you go and get that guy because he's unique. His size, the way he plays, and then you've kind of got other fans saying Washington probably won't be there. Go and get Sam Laporta from Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, Charlie mentioned tight ends is a position in which you come into the NFL, you really don't do much your rookie year unless you're playing for a bad team who really, really need you. And I guess in Miami's scheme, you best be able to block, because in terms of receptions, they're going towards Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So to those Miami fans who want a tight end, do you think there's one out of Washington and Laporta, who would you recommend? Or is there someone perhaps, in the third, fourth, fifth, who you think will be there who actually will be better suited for what Miami need from them?
I don't know if you're one of these guys who likes Washington Kadeem, but he's not going to be there for you at 51. I can tell you that. Players are not made like this guy, man. He's something else, and he's going to need some development. But he's so athletic. He's so big. He's just, if anything, a little bit underrated at this point, because he can do everything. He isn't going to be the top tight end. That for me would be Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, and Dalton Kincaid from Utah has a lot of fans as well. But I would be surprised if Darnell Washington got out of the first round. It just, especially as we said earlier on about how this draft class looks, you're just going to have to take a flyer on this guy because he is that good. But in terms of tight ends, I had him down as a need for you as well. And yeah, it's difficult because kind of the two, I thought at 51, looking at 51, 84, I was thinking tight end, maybe even linebacker at some point as well. But a tight end, there are going to be players there for you, but they're just not going to be the top end ones, right? So a guy like Tucker Kraft from South Dakota State, I think will be there at 51. He's very good, can do a bit of everything. He can block, there's no doubt about it. He is more of a pass catcher, but that's just a trend of tight ends coming out of college these days, that tight ends tend to just be pass catchers, but can do a little bit of blocking. And he can do that. He's a good route runner, and he can do all that stuff. Luke Musgrave has some fans from Oregon State. He might have been a guy that you've seen go quite high. He could be a guy that was there, but again, he's going to be predominantly a pass catching tight end, but I think would fit into your screen really well. But yeah, Sam Laporta coming back round, he's very good, but again, he's a guy that shows effort as a blocker, but needs to clean up some of that technique, which I'll be honest, goes for basically every tight end that comes out of in the draft these days, because just the way that college schemes work now, and what makes you money in the NFL, it's catching passes, right, at the tight end position. So that's just how it goes. But yeah, I really like Sam Laporta. A guy later on, probably in the third, that I quite like is Luke Schoonmaker from Michigan. He is a really good blocker. And can do some pass catching stuff. So he's maybe a name that you could look out for in the third at 84. But yeah, it's a very, very good tight end class, unusually so, actually. It's just the picks 51 and 84, they're just very difficult to work around, right?
Lately, or I want to say probably today, there's news that the Dolphins had an interview or visit with running back from Arizona State, Xavier Valade, Kadeem. Did you get a chance to check him out, and what did you think about him so far from what you just seen, the little bit that you've seen or heard about him, Kadeem?
You've done me dirty there, because I've watched 35 and ranked 35 running backs, and he's not one of them.
Oh yeah.
I'll hold my hands up.
So I was actually going to get to you, because I was going to give you an out, because I can understand how there's players that can go under people's radar, but I thought Kadeem might have seen him. So when I came back to you, I was going to give you an out and have you give us a running back, right? So I wouldn't put you on the spot like that.
Okay.
At all.
Yeah, for me, I really haven't delved into much college tape over the past few weeks. But I did see him on social media, and again, it's just clips. I haven't really been able to sit down, watch some better highlights and stuff like that. It looks like he can move. I think Miami are in this really weird situation where they've got 4 picks this draft. Running back is great. Running back isn't a dire need. Now, you would assume that Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. are going to be your 1-2 punch. You can never, ever, ever count out friend of the podcast, Mars Gaskin and Savon Ahmed. Those two, their limited opportunities they do get, they manage to do something. But I know there's others who believe that Mike McDaniel will go and get a running back, which he can have, for 3-4 years. So I think this is more just Miami doing their due diligence. And Valade, from the limited sample size I've seen, looks like, you know, I can't even put a grade on him right now, but someone who, if he's there, say day 3, early day 3, you know what, we'll go get him. I still think Miami will get more picks, via trades, either trading away Cedric Wilson. There'll be other players who someone comes in and say, "Hey, we'll give you a late day 3 pick," and Miami say, "You know what? We'll do it because we can move things around." So I know Charlie's mentioned about potentially trading picks next year to get into this year. Because again, said in a previous episode, Miami don't have a bunch of holes, but Miami still do need depth, across multiple positions. You mentioned linebacker. I know people like Jack Campbell, offensive line, kind of too many DBs. So yeah, running back, I'll throw over to you now, away
Yeah.
on my one side. Is there anyone who you like the look of? Anyone who you think is kind of getting slept on in a environment where it's very difficult for college players to be slept on these days?
Yeah, so this is a really good running back class, but again, that's one of you. It seems like every year there's good running backs. So I thought the same as you, that you see a lot of mocks where people are talking of Miami taking a maybe Jameer Gibbs is a name that's going around, right? That maybe that you take him in round 2, but I thought the same. I just don't see why you would do that, especially because in this class there's a lot of depth to it. I think on day 3, your picks are in round 6 and 7. So at that point, you really are just you're picking the guys that you like, right? Guys who are developmental and who potentially, especially in round 7, going to be priority free agents that you're just trying to pick up to make sure that you get your guy. But at the running back position, thinking around the Dolphins in around that kind of later round. Paul, that there could be kind of like a guy like Chris Rodriguez is quite good from Kentucky. I think he would be available around that point. He's a very good blocker, and he's more of a thumper rather than an elusive kind of 4-2 athlete. He's fits that mold. But if you wanted a more athletic guy, a guy like Keaton Mitchell from Eastern Michigan had a really good combine. He's being slept on, and I think could be available around this point. But I guess if they did want to pull the trigger on day 2, a guy that I'm really high on, and probably higher than a lot of people, is Roschon Johnson from Texas, who has been sitting behind Bijan Robinson, who is by far and away the best running back that we've had come out of the draft for a very long time. In my personal opinion, I think he's better than Saquon Barkley was coming out. But Roschon Johnson's been sitting behind him in college at Texas and is going criminally underrated. He can do everything, and he doesn't, in terms of usage, doesn't have a lot because Bijan Robinson has been taking basically all the reps. But what you've seen from Roschon Johnson is exceptional. He's a guy that I really like, that I would be quite happy to spend a day 2 pick on. But yeah, I think you're probably, from a Dolphins point of view, you are looking later on. But there's a bunch of guys like I've ranked 35, and just looking down my list here. There's definitely going to be players there for you. Evan Hull from Northwestern, Deuce Vaughn. I don't know if he's a player that you've heard of, but he's really small but super twitchy. So he could be a guy that could be like a change of pace guy that you could take later on.
Bro. So I do this thing called Touche's 24 every single year. Well, since we've had the podcast, I did it one year before we had the podcast. And what I do is I take players from draft prospects that are coming out in the draft that are under the radar players. And I take my favorite 24 players and I put them on a list, hence Touche's 24. Matter of fact, Kadeem, can we get some names on these boxes, please? I appreciate you, champ. I appreciate you.
Bad.
So yeah, I do Touche's 24, and what it is a list of players, the 24 players that I believe are under the radar, that don't get enough credit or attention, and I think they could be household names in the NFL, right? Some of the players that I had on this list: Amon-Ra St. Brown, We see how that worked out. Javon Holland, we see how that worked out. Give me another one from a Touche 24.
I see how you're just going with the good names, though.
No, you know what? Had I known that we were gonna go here, I would have brought the list so you could see the list, right? I had Trey Smith on there, went in the 6th round.
I had him as a top 50 player. He was so good.
Crazy. So I think the blood clots had something to do with that earlier on in his college career. All that being said, and you know what? Maybe we'll go into this list during bonus time, and we'll just chop it up about some of these players. But the reason why I'm bringing it up now is because Roschon Johnson is a player that I like, right? And I'm gonna take everybody into the mind of Touche's mind, right? Listen, sometimes for anybody that's like artistic or creates, we do this thing where we just write stuff down, just jot it down. We take notes somewhere, right? And Touche's 24, I have a process of how I make my list. Obviously, I get to about 60 players, and then I got to get it to 24. So then I might write notes somewhere, or even when I make music, I'll write lines, and I have to find out where these notes are, right? Hold up. Take this down for a second, Kadeem, because I want to show you something. So I have a note in my phone, and this is a spoiler alert with Touche's 24. Now, this is not the actual list for this year, but these are a few players that I just noted, like, yo, you have to look at this player. You have to, you know what I'm saying? And this is just a short list. This just notes that I don't know. Maybe I was watching something, or maybe I seen a game, or maybe who knows what. But this is a note. And Roschon Johnson is at the top of that list. Can you see that?
He is a dude.
Yeah, at the top of that list, and then you see DeJuan Jones on there. And my favorite player that I've been trying to get him on a list for the past 3 seasons was on this list that you just seen, which was Muhammad Ibrahim. Yeah. He has injury concerns, and it's unfortunate. I wish he would have came out so many years ago, but it is what it is. But yeah, man, Roschon Johnson has potential, and when you sit behind the best running back in the draft, you get a couple looks for yourself as well. What you got for us, Kadeem?
Very quickly, I found, I believe this is last year's Touche's 24.
Yep.
So yeah, you can kind of see who made the list, and yeah, it's not just, I guess, good players.
There's a lot of good players on there, though.
All right, so I break down a couple of things. So for I want to be very fair. The most notable player on this list coming out of college was probably Kenneth Walker III. Right. Now, I had to sit on the fence and say, do I put Kenneth Walker on this list or do I not? And if I didn't, and I'm gonna give you another player that I didn't put on the Touche's 24 list the year before this, was Justin Jefferson, because I felt like people should like already knew him because he was in the national championship. But if I did put him on the list, people were like, oh, well, he was the 1st round pick, right? But then I had to think, well, what if teams don't take these people in the 1st round? You know what I'm saying? And then they slip, and now they become underrated, right? So Kenneth Walker III, it tugged on me a little bit because I felt like he should be notable, but just in case he starts to slide, at least I gave him his due on my list. But then obviously you can see a couple more players. You see Kyer Elam on here, Abraham Lucas, one of my favorite picks, Boye Mafe. Seattle Seahawks just took my whole list and said, you know what, I like what you're doing here, Touche. George Pickens at the top of the list, Marcus Jones. There's a lot of people I like on this list. Well, yeah, man. What you got? What you got for us, Kadeem?
I guess another position group. Like I said, corners. Miami don't need a corner. They could probably go the entire draft without picking one up, and then doing what they done with Kader Kohu and taking someone who's undrafted. At the same time, Miami, Xavier Howard, love him or hate him, has been able to play 17, 16 games for a few seasons now. His injury record has improved, but when you're paying someone that much money and they're seeing time on the bench, then it's not really ideal. Do you reckon there's someone, and I guess it probably would be day 3, any corners who is like, do you know what, this guy could have a similar impact to Kader Kohu, might be reaching, given not many players essentially have that kind of rookie season. But anyone who can at least come in and not be absolutely awful, any corners on day 3 who's like, you know what? And I guess to a lesser extent as well, any safeties, any kind of like midfield safeties who can allow friends of the podcast, Brandon Jones and Javon Holland, to kind of do what they do best.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of safeties, this is a poor class. I'll be honest. That there's not a lot of guys to love. And again, being truthful with you, I really like Verone McKinley. That I liked him a lot coming out last year. I was surprised how fell that he ended up falling. Is he still there? Is he still on your roster?
He went undrafted, and we picked him up undrafted. I liked him a lot too.
Yeah, I think I had him around maybe like between 100, 110 off the top of my head where I had him ranked. I really liked him. So I'll be honest, I prefer to be giving him a shot than some of these guys that you're going to pick up in the 6th or the 7th, because there's just not a lot there in terms of safeties. There is going to be in terms of corner though, so maybe you could play one in the nickel or something like that. But in terms of guys who could be available later on, Keetrell Clark from Louisville is a very good player. Darrell Luter from South Alabama, Nick Jones from Ball State. They're guys who will be drafted later on who I think have a shot to do something. But I guess, again, when you're picking that late on in 6th or 7th rounds, you're not really looking for impact players, are you? You're just kind of almost hitting and hoping sometimes, and then picking players that you can develop and putting them on your practice squad. Or if someone can come in and do what Keita Kuhu did, then I mean, that was absolutely unbelievable. I don't think anyone saw that come in. I'll be honest, I didn't even watch him last year. It was a complete shock where that came from. So there are the corner class is good. It's talked about at this point as being the best class in this draft. For me, it isn't. That would be edge, but it is a very good class, and there's going to be a bunch of them go in the top 100 picks, and there's going to be some impact guys that end up falling just for that reason. Someone always falls, and you don't know what the medical is on these guys, but they're the other ones. Another one could be Carrington Valentine from Kentucky, but they're all guys really that you would be drafting to develop.
Before we go into bonus time, you have something for Owain, Kadeem, before we go into bonus time?
Outside a massive thank you. Really enjoyed that. No, that's kind of it for me for now.
Can you tell everybody where we can find you, Owain?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So my Twitter handles there. It is Owain_Jones_. All my stuff's over on 99 yards. So you can go and see that there. There's a load of draft stuff. There's scout reports and close to 100 of these prospects up there in depth. So go and have a look at them. And then there's going to be team mock drafts for every team, not just the Dolphins. And so, everything kind of draft content wise is up there. 99yards.com, spelt out properly, no numbers, 99yards.com. Everything's on the website.
I like it. One more player, doesn't have to be a Dolphin. Give us somebody that you think won't go in the first round, but is super a stud that, you know what, I think people are sleeping on. Just give us one guy.
Yeah, that's easy for me. That would be Tui Tuipulotu, who's that edge from USC. He is going stupidly underrated. He, I think, will go in the second round at this point, but he's a guy that was moved all around the defensive line at USC, played a lot on the interior, but he is going to be an edge guy, and he's going to be a high impact player that I think anyone would be lucky to pick up on day 2.
Hey, we appreciate you, Owain. We about to get into bonus time. Y'all follow us over for Owain Jones of 99 yards, Kadeem Simmons. I'm Charlie Touche. Thank you for tuning in this time. Hey, stay positive, test negative. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time. Already.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's showtime. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time.
Hey, I might as well come take that outro because that's a few times that you've been messing up. And
bro, I did not mess up, bro.
You messed up.
Bro, I caught it and I called the audible on the line. Like, yo, Let's figure this out, fellas. You know what I'm saying? That
The
was my Peyton Manning.
The best I would give you is that you fumbled the snap. It wasn't a bad snap. You fumbled the snap, but you managed to recover the ball, scramble back to the line, and it was a loss for no yards. That's the that's
No.
the best I would give you.
No.
That's
I
the best I
fumbled.
would give you.
I fumbled. I scooped it, and I got a completion. It was one of those. I
It
completed the pass.
not. No, it was not. No, this is last.
I completed the pass, bro.
It was a tush push-up pass.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, it got like 3 yards. It was a positive. It was a game. We game. Hey, so Owain, bro, we're gonna pull up this Tuesday's 24 list one more time.
Yeah,
of last year. And I know this was something we didn't even discuss, but when we pull up this list,
yeah.
Can you walk us through a couple of these names and tell us what you thought about these guys before they were coming out, and the people who didn't perform and the people who overperformed, and let us know. Basically, I guess grade the list for us.
F.
This guy.
No, I mean it's a quality list there. I mean, in terms of just guys that I really liked as well, Abraham Lucas, I was really high on as well. I think I had him as the sixth best offensive tackle in that class. I think he was a really good pick for the Seahawks. Absolute home run, that one. Sean Ryan, I really liked him as well, but he really hasn't done anything, which was a bit of a surprise to me. I guess their guys lower down. Zamir White, yeah, I liked him too. George Pickens, I mean, what a player! He featured quite heavily on our podcast, and especially when it came to the wide receiver rankings. One of my co-hosts, Stu, absolutely loved George Pickens. He had him as his kind of second ranked wide receiver in the class. But yeah, what a player he was. It's just difficult when it comes to players like that, right? When you don't know, kind of when you're sat here in your spare room, that it's difficult to know what the medicals are and what the kind of character issues are. And I guess that's why a lot of the players end up coming in on those 30 visits, so you can kind of gauge that a little bit more. But yeah, George Pickens was a guy I really liked, but it's a very, very good list.
Yeah, I appreciate you. You took a shot at me like, oh, you only talk about the good ones. Hey, I thought I had a quality list. I'm like, oh, this is the only ones I can remember off the top. And then there's one for 2020 and there's one for 2021. But we won't get into all that. This year, actually, Tuesday's 24 is going to be the first half will be a list compiled of my previous 3 years. So we'll have 24 players from the previous 3 lists that I hit on. And then probably a week after that, we might do the 2024 or 2023. I'm sorry, Tuesday's 24, where it's this year's prospects. So I'm still in the midst of it. It's getting close, so I got to cross the T's and dot the I's. But there's a lot of people out there that I like. That I like when Abraham Lucas. It hurts my heart because he's a right tackle, and the Dolphins were right there. Like, yo, just do this, please, for me. You know what I'm saying? Boye Mafe, Abraham Lucas. Then they ended up getting that first round pick. Who was the first round tackle that they took? Cross?
Charles Cross.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. That's just, hey, we need, you know what? We're going behind a paywall so these GMs don't take our list no more. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is.
So I've got a new segment, and Owain, you can be the first to be a part of it.
No pressure.
It is, let's find Charlie Touche a soccer team. Now, you are a Wrexham fan, so make your case as to why Charlie should support Wrexham. And also, I'm not going to do like 30 seconds to a minute, because sometimes you really need to get in depth. So, yeah, why should Charlie be a Wrexham fan going forward?
I think at this point, if you're looking for a team, I think personally, if you're picking a team from any sport, you want to pick an underdog, and you don't want to pick a team that win everything. That's no fun. You want to pick a guy. You want to pick a team. You want to go on a journey. That's Wrexham right now. You look at there's the documentaries out. It's out on Disney. You can see last year's. They're a team that were on the brink of going bust. They weren't going to exist. The whole town bought out the owner who wanted to sell the stadium so he could build some apartments on it. The whole kind of town got together, raised, I think, close to £2 million to buy the team. They've been absolutely just the town has just been funding the team for the last 16 years, and then like a fairy tale, the Hollywood princes come in and say, "We're here to save you," and especially being across the pond there, in terms of looking at, if you want content, Wrexham's probably one of the better teams out there right now for producing content and being able to follow teams. They're probably quite ahead of the curve for a team that's so far down. So you're not going to be struggling to follow games.
I'm not gonna lie. You might not have sold me to be my team, but you sold me to watch the documentary. Like, I'm gonna watch the documentary now. I have an Ajax jersey. They sing Three Little Birds.
Wow.
From Bob Marley. You know what I'm saying? Now I was debating if I should sing the song or not. So they sing Three Little Birds from Bob Marley. Bob Marley is one of my favorite artists all time. And I had to get an Ajax jersey. So I don't follow them. I don't keep up with them. It's cool. You know, Marley's sons and grandsons go over there and chop it up with them. I think that's cool. But I do like the story that, the fans own the team. A la Green Bay Packers. You know what I'm saying? Like, and to know that basically they couldn't afford it and they had to this is ours. It's ours. You know what I'm saying? This is us. Can't no one say it's, you know what I'm saying? And then for them to say, you know what? In order for us to keep this team, this is what we have to do. That's a lot of people's story right there. You know what I'm saying? So it is definitely intriguing. I'm definitely going to watch the documentary. I am kind of looking for a team though. I'm just tied up in a lot of stuff. I like a lot of things, and I don't know if I could fit another habit, and I don't have enough time to support these habits.
Sport is time consuming, right?
It is.
It consumes your life.
I think the fact that, if the Dolphins are playing Thursday night football, I'll stay up until 1 o'clock till whenever to watch it. But Charlie's saying he doesn't have time to wake up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday to watch soccer. That's disappointing. That's really disappointing. And you're in a situation where if you follow like a Premier League team, you can watch every game. In the UK, we don't get that. So if you're a Man United fan, we don't have a Game Pass. If Man United are on TV, we're doing illegal stuff to try and watch it. I'm not going to say what we're doing because I'm not trying to end up in jail right now, but that's what we've got to do. All you've got to do is turn on like Peacock or NBC and you've got it. And you can't even do that.
Hold on. So there's a difference though. Because, now correct me if I'm wrong, excuse my ignorance. Wrexham's not a Premier League team, right?
Up nowhere near.
Right. Now, I like the idea of the underdog story. And like, I've been rocking with this team before. In football and soccer, they elevate, right?
Yeah.
So they can make it to the Premier League, no?
Yeah.
All right. So I love that idea. So I don't want a team that's in the Premier League already. I do like the idea of finding one saying, I was here. I did this. I followed them. You know what I'm saying? I streamed them illegally. I like that idea. But I do kind of like the idea of, it's convenience. Like Premier League, let me just find a team in the Premier League that's not big time. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I have no idea. I do. Listen, I feel like the World Cup is intense. I think they really go hard in the World Cup. And in some of these other leagues, they don't go as hard. So that's why I wasn't a fan of soccer before. I'm like, y'all not even going hard right now. You know what I'm saying? And I need the everything's on the line type of feel, not only when it's a big game. You see what I'm saying? And I don't think I get that in every game with soccer.
I guess you don't, because it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. But again, at the same time, you will get the most random game which has nothing on the line that day, and it's just absolutely mind-blowing. It's like 3-3 goals on, like, I can't believe it. The one thing I will disagree on with Wrexham being the underdog, you are bankrolled.
They're not anymore. They're not anymore.
Yeah, like you're not looking at the underdog. You've got
they were the underdog.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's definitely interesting. I think any year before this year, Bank Holiday Monday, people were not staying in to watch Wrexham v Notts County, but I saw so many people that was like, again, even myself from Friday when you lost to Halifax Town, I was like, this game on Monday, have to watch it. I'm not going nowhere. So yeah, Wrexham is definitely one to I think to at least keep an eye on.
Yeah, because but I live up in Newcastle now, up in the northeast. So I've lived up here for like 7 years now. But when I was back home, I used to have a season ticket. I had a season ticket from I was, God knows what age, at Wrexham, and you go to games and there was maybe just like 2,000-3,000 people there, and then you see a new stand basically being built behind the Kop, and 10,000 people there today, and it's just amazing to see it go in places, and that's what you want from your team, right?
So I'm not gonna lie. Last night I watched the XFL game, and obviously XFL is American football, but it's under the radar. No one really pays attention to it. What's his name? Ben DiNucci, the backup quarterback for the Cowboys, is in it. Josh Gordon is in it. That's the only two players I can name right now.
Philip Lindsay's in it now.
Is he?
Yeah, I think he plays like yeah, he's 100% in it. Yeah,
you see where this is going, right? So last night there was a game. It was, I want to say, the DC Defenders and Seattle Sea Dragons, something like that. And I was watching it. Let me be fair. I wasn't watching it. It was on, and it was watching me. You know what I'm saying? I was just doing stuff in the house, and it was on. And I watched it. I want to say it was like a 17-point difference, and it was just on. It's football. I just want to watch whatever, doing stuff around the house, and it became a game. And the rules, I think there's a 3-point play, like a 3-point conversion instead of a 2-point conversion. So there's a 3-point conversion. Not only is there a 3-point conversion, the onside kick rules, there's no onside kick, but there's a 4th and 15 in essence. Meaning, let's just put it in context of the NFL. If the Dolphins are down 4, Dolphins are down 5, kick the extra point. They scored a touchdown, kick the extra point. Now they're down 4. All right. And there's a minute left on the clock, no timeouts. That game is over, in essence, right? But the XFL rule, the onside kick is, the Dolphins will come out for the onside kick. There's no onside kick. What you would get instead of an onside kick is a 4th and 15. So now you have one play, 4th and 15 to try to convert. This team, this game was nutty. Like, I'm like, this. I'm kind of feeling some of these rules. You know what I'm saying? So they get the 3-point conversion where it's like a 20 from the 25-yard line. They score that, get a 4th and 15, get a turnover. It was a game all the way up to the last snap of the game. I'm like, I'm feeling this. I said all that to go here. I got this idea. Owain, this is for you. It's called Two Shades Overtime. And since you're a football fan and a soccer fan, football and football fan, let me know what you think. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you're not feeling it, but I think I'm on to something. Hear me out. And I got this because of the World Cup put it in me. I'm like, we could keep the foot in football. Because, why y'all call it football, right? So I
dread to know where this is going.
Listen. So overtime in the NFL is basically both teams have to touch the ball. If the first team scores a touchdown, the game's over. If the first team scores a field goal, the second team has a chance to score a field goal, right? Once upon a time, it was sudden death. First team to score wins. Is no longer that anymore. Now I think it's a different rule for playoff overtime too. All that being said, we're here. What do you think about Two Shades overtime, where you play a quarter, even if it's a 10-minute quarter? Okay, I'm fine with that. Not first person score first and game's over or you match, none of that. Whatever the score is at the end of the overtime quarter, if it's tied still, we go to what I consider a kickoff, where the kickers duel each other, almost like PKs in soccer.
Penalties. Stop calling them PKs. Penalties.
Almost like PKs in soccer. So now you just played a whole overtime period. It's still, or quarter, it's still tied. Now you line up the kicker from the 30, and if he makes it, the next kicker kicks from the 30. And then you go back 5 yards, 10 yards, whatever you want to do, with pressure, with a rush the whole time. How you feel about that overtime?
I don't know how much you know about rugby being over there, but they do exactly that in rugby.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, where they they'll spot it from different points, but the further, if you could be 10 kicks in, it could be, one of the big boys kicking.
Yeah.
from like 40 yards away.
With a rush?
So
No, not with a rush, but they'll have to make the kick.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
all right, so I'm not familiar with rugby at all. So in rugby,
No, I didn't think you would be, but it's
so
a very similar thing.
I mean, I got an idea, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're telling me, and this is overtime in rugby?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so they would
Yo,
do if the rugby if they're drawing at full time, they'll play another, I think, for the 15 minutes, and then they'll basically go to penalties.
And penalties are basically the kick, and
where
whoever
they'll
misses is over.
progressively move
I
the
like
kick
it, bro.
further away,
Hey,
and it's
rugby's
different
on
player who
something.
has to go every time.
I ain't gonna lie, y'all might have lost a soccer fan. I might be going straight to rugby.